Hi Di, this is Tanya here for assessment task number 6, career counselling session, and I'm here today with my client. And my client is an inner city person in Melbourne. She lives in the inner city and she's looking to make a career transition. So I'm going to help support her through that process so that she has some outcomes today. All right, so I'll now hand over and I'll just move the camera. Unfortunately, we don't have a big wide lens or a professional microphone with us today, so hopefully the sound and the vision is okay. All right, so I'd like to introduce my client, and I'll hand over to her as we go through the questions and the process. Thanks. Okay. Hi, how are you today?
Good.
Thanks.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for coming in. What we'll do for today's session is we'll actually start by, if I could know a little bit about yourself and hear a little bit about your career story. If you could just walk me through your career story to date, that would be really great, just so I've got a bit of background information on you. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, sure. Well, firstly, I finished high school, and from high school I actually ended up going to Europe, and I stayed there for quite a few years. I studied there, and I ended up being a teacher of English. And then after that I came back to Melbourne and went to Melbourne Uni, and I did a dip ed there. Now, in order to support the qualifications that I had acquired overseas. Now, in the meantime, I needed to find work to pay for my fees, so I ended up getting a job, and I got a job at Siemens Limited in the finance sector. Even though I was, being educated on how to be a trainer and a teacher, I ended up in the finance department. From there, I actually then worked my way up. I ended up staying in the corporate world for about 18 years, and from there I went from accounts payable to senior accounts payable officer to treasurer, and then senior treasury officer. So I've kind of worked my way up over the years. Then my role became redundant. So I needed to start thinking about that dip ed that I had done 18 years ago. And I thought, how do I just get the dust off it and try and bring that back to life and resuscitate that. So there's really, I love teaching and I love training others, and I had a lot of opportunities to do that in the corporate world as well, alongside the work that I did in finance. So I thought, well, how do I position myself to transition back into teaching? So I enrolled myself into a graduate certificate course in TESOL. Yes, and I obviously had to do my TAE, which was a new thing that was introduced. Because I haven't been in contact with the teaching, the whole sector,
the education
sector. I wasn't, because I've been out of it for so long, I didn't realise a lot. So I really needed to get myself up to speed and look at the current methodologies that were being applied in classrooms, and get my head around everything that was relevant in the industry.
So just improve your currency. So
absolutely. So I thought, okay, well, the best way to do that is go back to school, do professional development. Even though I really didn't need to do that in order to get a job as a teacher, I felt I needed to do that because that would have given me the confidence and the tools that I needed in order to qualify to get a good job in teaching. So from there, I graduated, and I then found a job I worked for a couple of RTOs, not for very long though, only because of the distance. So you had to travel. You had to travel a lot. So I really wasn't interested in doing that. So So then through a friend, I heard about a position in my current place of employment. So I ended up, going for an interview, and I pretty much got the job straight away,
Wow,
which is amazing.
that's good. That's a great
And
example of just how things happen, isn't it, in
Yeah.
life?
absolutely.
Yeah, no matter how planned you are, things can just go in a direction. You can meet one person and it can change you, change your direction.
Absolutely. So, and at the time, and I loved working there. This was 5 years ago, by the way.
Okay, yeah.
So 5 years ago.
Yep.
And
So not that long ago.
not that long ago. Very happy place. And I
Yeah.
love what I did. I love, because I've got TESOL and I've
Yeah.
got English and
Business.
and business. I was
Yeah.
able to bring all that corporate experience into the classroom
Yeah.
and apply all of that, and I, you know, and it was very rewarding for me. And I love the job.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing was rewarding. I'm hearing a little bit
Was.
of past tense.
Yes. Yes.
So how are you feeling now about the same
Well,
the same work?
the culture of the organisation, or the RTO, I should say, the training organisation, has changed. And I just feel that what I value in a role doesn't align with what they have to offer.
Okay, that's a really important point, because if your values are not aligned with the organisation's values and the work that you're doing, many times we find throughout our career that can create that sense of, you know, uneasiness and dissatisfaction to a certain extent, because we're really not doing, you know, what makes our heart sing.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And not that that's impacting what's happening in the classroom, but it's just the work environment itself.
Work environment, and that obviously is a value that you hold pretty dear to your heart. Yeah. So what does make your heart sing? What in an ideal world, you know, and if there were no barriers, and I'd like to find out, you know, what you might perceive those barriers to be. Quite often, I encourage clients to imagine their ideal life if there were no barriers and there was nothing holding you back. So have you ever thought about what that might look like?
Not in that light. Not in that light. I mean, we've all got our dreams, and we all think about, you know, what would it be like if I won $40 million?
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Well, someone recently won that in Cairns, actually. The Powerball the other night.
Okay.
So, so what I'd love to do, and this is another thing in regards to where my passions lie, is, you know, I often talk to students about, you know, to pursue their dreams and to really strive for what you know, to strive for what they're passionate about, and then it made me reflect on, well, what am I doing about my passions?
Sure. Yeah.
So I've also gone back to school, and last year I graduated from the Melbourne Fashion Institute, because that's one of my passions.
Fashion Institute. Okay.
Yes,
Totally different from the corporate world
and from
the world of finance and teaching as well.
Absolutely. So I thought, you know, I have to feed my soul. And that's what tugs my heartstrings. So if there were no barriers, what I would probably be inclined or lean towards is actually starting up, you know, having my own little studio. Not necessarily pursue a career where I've got a label and you know, pursuing a career where I'm going to have to, you know, mass produce runway, you know, garments and things like that per season. I wouldn't be doing that.
No.
But I would love to have my own little studio where I've got some clients that I'm happy to work with and for. And I'm passionate about realising their visual dream of what the perfect garment would be. So and you know, and that uniqueness and contributing to that. So so that's what I'd love to do.
That's a great dream. And so what's holding you back from doing that? Like if you have the place, like, have you thought of a place where you would do that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
At the moment we're renovating, and we have put aside the ground floor to be a studio.
Okay, great.
Which I've got to set up still.
Yeah.
But again, one of the barriers would be financial resources.
Financial resources.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in setting it up or needing to make an income, you know, while you've
It's
got
both.
the start-up. Yeah.
It's both.
Yeah.
It's both. It's meeting, you know, our needs, you know, for daily living, and also having the resources to set up as well.
Okay. Are you aware of the NEASE program, the government NEASE program for start-up businesses?
No, I can't say I am.
Okay. All right. Good. Well, I'll give you the details to that. I can
great.
email it to you afterwards. Another thing that we're going to work on today too is a career action plan. So it'll really articulate what the steps are to help you make the career transition and move from where you are into what you want to do.
Sounds fantastic.
Yeah. So I guess that's a goal for today.
Yeah.
You did mention that to me before we met. In the questionnaire that we did prior to our meeting today. So what are some of the other barriers that are preventing you? So we've got financial. So what other barrier? You did mention to me at some stage, I mean, you're now studying to go into career counselling yourself, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Well, there's a couple of barriers there, but both of those barriers, one of those barriers, another actual barrier for actually both of those would be availability of work.
Availability of work.
In both, in either career counselling and in running a studio.
In fashion.
Absolutely. So
yeah.
that's one thing, and that's why financial resources are important to me.
Sure.
Because the stability, I'm just concerned about the stability of work.
Okay. Yeah.
In both of those areas.
Sure.
And another barrier for me in terms of career counselling. Or becoming a career practitioner, which is what I'm currently, striving to do. That would be age. Age.
Okay.
Yeah. So being involved in, with students.
Yeah.
Of year 9 students.
Yeah.
How would those students perceive me,
and
whether that was going to deter from the outcome of the session.
So you're thinking that they may feel as if you're not of the same generation and your experience not being relevant or valuable?
Well, I don't think that they would see it that way in terms of relevance. I just don't know whether, would they be more comfortable talking to a younger person as opposed to an older person. So look, I'm just anticipating that could potentially be a barrier, but it may not.
Yeah, I guess time will tell. So with your actual the steps that you're going to take, let's just imagine that you did, we won't say 40 million, that's a lot of money. Let's say 4, we'll drop the 0 off the end, and let's say 4 million. What would $4 million do to change your life in terms of career and work? And assuming that you wanted to continue working,
Yes.
So what could that do for you, do you think?
Well,
if we remove that financial barrier?
Yeah. Well, I'd be able to. I'd do both.
Yeah.
I would continue career counselling.
Yep.
Because I'm really passionate about helping people find their way.
Okay. Yeah.
And encouraging people to follow their heart.
Which is
giving
ideally.
them, and giving them pathways.
Yes.
And, opportunities and enlighten them, I guess. And I feel that would be a real rewarding thing to do. But also would have to, as I mentioned earlier, feed my soul.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm very practical and I'm a little bit artistic, and I'd love to still do a bit of designing, and I would love to. So that would be my time out.
Right.
More so, but also if I had a steady stream of income through that as well,
yes,
that would be great.
That would be the ideal
Yeah.
world. Well, because you've mentioned that you're artistic, would you mind? There's a little piece of paper behind us. Would you mind maybe perhaps visually giving me or giving yourself a visual representation of how that life may look like, or what that career model may look like, and I'll just move the camera so that we can see what you're doing.
Okay,
That'd be great. All right.
Okay. So. I'm in a forest.
You're in a forest,
I'm
okay.
in a forest. That's where I am.
All right. Nice surroundings.
This is my studio.
Your studio. So I'm imagining that you're looking out onto trees and beautiful.
Trees. Yeah.
Is this actually the house that you can see that from your house?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Brilliant.
And.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'm just going to.
School. Okay. Mhm. All right. So did you want to just explain to me what these visions are?
Sure.
Yeah.
So this would be the studio.
Uh-huh.
And with a beautiful outlook.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is where I'd be spending my time getting creative.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would be going to schools and delivering career services to
Great.
UNIs.
So what you're really describing to me then is what we call a portfolio career. So the portfolio career is where you might do 2 days, let's say, 2 days career counselling, and the rest of the time in your studio creating beautiful pieces for private clients. Yeah. Or whichever, or the other way around. You might do more career counselling and
3 and maybe 2.
Oh, that's wonderful, because I'll just show you this other model that we have over here, which is your ideal life. And your ideal life is all about your health and fitness, your family and relationships, and your finances and your career. And to look at yourself holistically, it's very hard to separate, one thing from another. But at various times throughout our career and throughout our whole life, as we develop and as our careers develop, we focus on different things. So there is a little circle there which you'll see, Dare to Dream. And I'd like you to draw a line from Dare to Dream to your studio and to your school, the school.
Alright, so one line or two?
Yeah, 2 lines, yeah.
Okay.
So one to there and one to there. And that's your Dare to Dream. Would you say? Would you say that's what it is? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So then over here, the finances and career, this is your, what we call a plan A. So that could be the reality of, the financial reality of creating an income while you're building up this Dare to Dream, which is perhaps your plan B. And it is also good sometimes to even have a plan C. So, this is the everyday, this is the absolute ideal life, but there could be something else that comes in as well, as careers are never planned. We can try and plan, but as history shows throughout careers that, as you said, you met one person and you changed your career direction, and that can continue, throughout life. And the most important thing is, you know, identifying opportunities, because some people just don't even know how to identify opportunities. So it seems to me like you've got a pretty strong idea of what that dare to dream plan B is. So what we need to do then is work on how we're going to make that happen. So have you thought about no barriers? There's no barriers. You've got the 4 million, it's in the bank. What steps would you take? So I think we can sit down now. Yeah. Oh. So just wondering what your steps would be. Yeah, what the steps would be to make it a reality.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So if we were going to talk about the career practitioner, I need to complete the graduate certificate course.
Sure, you've already commenced that.
I've commenced that.
Yeah.
Complete that, and then so that's pretty much already happening.
Yeah. So when would you be on track to finish that? Do you think, time wise? When did you start?
I started 3 months ago.
Okay.
So
about September.
About September, maybe before then.
Okay. All right. So we'll mention that. We'll put that into your career action plan. September 2020 is when you might be due for completion, if not before.
If not before.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So what other steps? Yeah.
Okay. In terms of the studio, I need to, if money wasn't a barrier, I would need to complete the renovations downstairs for that. And so my first step would be to get a draftsman out.
Yeah.
Get a draftsman, and I would pretty much plan
the renovation.
That renovation. That's what needs to happen first.
And set up the space how you like it.
Set that space up, and then whilst that's simultaneously whilst that's happening, I would also look to source the equipment that I need.
The equipment you need, and that I'm imagining that would be a reasonable investment.
It is
into the equipment you need.
Correct.
Yeah. And do you know where you can go for advice and support on what you need for that?
I do, because and what's given me the support and the connections is the graduate certificate course that I did.
Okay. In
at
fashion?
Melbourne, yes.
Right.
Yeah, so I do have the networks and the connections there in order to source what I need.
Yeah, networks, professional and personal, are so important. You know, when we're making career transition. Okay, so that's talking about gaining the qualification for for the graduate certificate in career development.
Yeah.
And then you'd be looking to source some work through the CAV.
Yes, correct. Correct.
And then the renovation as well, you feel as if you have the information or the sources where you need to go to set up your workspace there.
Yeah.
So have you thought also about where you might source clients for fashion?
That, no, I haven't yet.
Okay, so that's something we'd probably need to work on.
Yes.
Because sometimes it can be good dealing with another organisation that would feed clients to you.
Yes.
So perhaps a business plan, if we worked on a business plan.
I need one of those as well.
Right,
yes.
Okay, so I'll make a note of that. And this business plan, the steps for the renovation and a timeline for when you need to finish your graduate certificate can all go into your career action plan. Yeah, which for a lot of people, once it's actually written and it's on paper and it's structured, it starts to take a life of its own, and it actually starts to become a reality. If we break it down, if it's all together in it becomes one big mountain. It's a mountain sometimes that people feel intimidated by. So we would look at step by step how we would scale that mountain and get to the summit.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, so how did you feel? I just would love to hear from you how you felt when you said you were artistic, but drawing that visual and talking about success at the end. How did you feel?
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
And optimistic.
And optimistic
Yeah.
because I'm quite a visual person, and I mean, I haven't done the drawings justice, but I visually see something similar to that, but just a lot more vivid.
A lot more vivid.
And that made me feel good.
Yeah. And so would it help you as well in the business plan if we actually mapped out like a project, month by month milestones and steps that we could take to give you that feeling of moving forward?
And maybe representing those milestones, representing those milestones in a sort of a mind map.
A mind map as well. Okay.
That would work really well.
Yeah, terrific. So and you being visual, obviously
that's going to work for me.
Yeah. So maybe even if you focused on one thing at a time, and once you've got a mind map up, perhaps in your space, in your studio, that can be a constant daily reminder of where you're headed. So I'm hoping that will give you some kind of vision, and pathway, sort of mental pathway of even baby steps. So long as you take baby steps each day, they don't have to be monumental steps. Hopefully that will give you that feeling, like I say, of moving forward and not being stalled.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah. All right. Great. Well, let's reconvene next month.
Okay.
And in between now and next month, I think if we could start that business plan, and I have a template that I could share with you, which is going to ask you some questions which will really get you thinking about, where you might get your clients from, what your point of difference will be, why would people come to you for your designs. Maybe there's some work that you've already done. Actually, I'm pretty sure there's some work that you've already done, which could be, great advertising, I guess, and word of mouth promotional pieces to get the ball rolling. I'd love to hear from you how you found this session, and how you think it'll help you to move forward.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having this session with me.
That's my pleasure.
It was great to be given the opportunity to articulate, what's kind of sitting in the back of my mind, and bringing that forward a bit, and knowing that I'm actually going to be embarking on, an action plan and a business plan. That's exciting. And definitely I'm going to have to get onto that draft soon.
That's good. And once, like I say, once you have the action plan, it'll be step by step.
That's it.
Step by step. And you'll feel really good once you start ticking things off. And moving forward. So thanks very much for today. I really hope that it's helped you in moving forward, and I look forward to our next session.
And so do I. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Okay. See you.
Bye.